The Speediance Gym Pal is an extremely impressive piece of fitness tech, providing up to 220 pounds of resistance that can be used with a wide variety of accessories, all within a very small and portable platform at a price that is significantly less than alternative options. And if you're a fan of fitness tech or reviews that get right to the point without wasting your time, make sure to like this video to support the channel or even subscribe to see more videos just like this. Okay. So first off, let's talk size, because in a world where many of us have limited space to store fitness equipment at home, size and portability can be very important. And the Speediance Gym Pal is easily the smallest and most portable digital weight machine that I have seen, with a 32 by 23 inch footprint that can also be placed on its side when stored, taking up under 1 square foot. And it's also very light at just 55 pounds. It has wheels, so it can be easily moved and stored under a bed. So really just a fantastic option if you don't have a ton of extra space. Now, in terms of construction, the Gym Pal feels pretty solid, much of it being made from steel and aluminum, but its outer shell casing is made from plastic, so you can't just toss this thing around like unfortunately my UPS deliverer did. Now, this was an early unit before Speediance finalized their packaging, and I have been told that they've made changes to help better ensure it is delivered safely, but just be careful. Now, to use the Speediance Gym Pal, it does need to be plugged in and switched to on, and then can be controlled via the Speediance app on a smartphone or tablet and a Bluetooth controller ring. So on the app, you have a good variety of options to get started with. You can take a strength assessment to speed up the process, in which Gym Pal can start giving you more accurate weight suggestions. You can select specific movements one by one, which as of right now is a little bit limited with just 89 movements, and actually a little less since many of the movements have both a left and right version, but the product hasn't even been fully released, and I expect to see many more added over time like that are available on the Speediance Gym Monster. But what is nice here is that you can also just create your own custom movements, so you can still track any exercises that you'd like, or you can just do free lift mode and do whatever the hell you'd like. You can also take pre-built classes, which again are a little limited right now since it's brand new, as well as programs, though no programs were available yet for this early review. Speediance does have a history of adding a program or two each week on its Gym Monster machine, and again, I expect a good amount to be added here too soon upon its launch. And finally, you also have the ability to create and follow along to your own custom workouts. So let's dig into how all this works. Now, when you select a movement, you'll see a video of that movement being performed, as well as some additional notes on how to perform the exercise correctly. And you can adjust the number of reps and sets and rest between sets, and of course, weight. So when you've picked a movement you'd like to do, you'll need to attach the correct accessory. And there are 2 accessory attachments, one on each side of the Gym Pal's platform that they lock into. And a locking mechanism here is very simple, easy to use, and secure. Now, the most important piece to controlling the weight on the Speediance Gym Pal is the Bluetooth controller ring. When you are all set up in position and want the load to turn on, you simply press the button on the ring. Then you press it again when you want the load to turn off, and it works surprisingly well. You can even quickly adjust the weight between sets by rotating the button in either direction. But you do have to be a bit careful when setting up not to accidentally press it, as that did happen a few times to me. On the regular Speediance Gym Monster, there is an option to change that single press to a double press or a hold, which I think is safer and would prefer, but that option is not yet available on the Gym Buddy. Now, whenever you perform a movement, Speediance will track the reps and weight, and also show you any range of motion or power discrepancies from side to side, which is pretty cool. And because the Gym Pal has Bluetooth speakers, you'll hear an audible notification after every rep and when you are done with your set. And what's really nice about these speakers is that you can also play any background music on your phone through them. So you can listen to whatever you would like and still hear the sounds signifying your reps, and the volume for each can be adjusted independently. And as I mentioned, the load on the Speediance Gym Pal can be adjusted anywhere from 2 to 220 pounds, and that is digital loading, which, because it doesn't allow for momentum, means it feels heavier than traditional free weights. So usually feels about 10 to 20% heavier than what the number says. Now, moving back to the app for a second, there are also several different lifting and safety modes that you can choose from. There's, of course, standard, which just keeps the weight consistent like you would expect it to. And then there is chain mode, which is supposed to simulate the feeling of lifting with chains. So here the weight is lightest at the bottom and then gradually builds to its heaviest when you reach the top of the lift, and then the weight decreases as you lower the weight. Makes sense. And in terms of how heavy this additional loading can go, it depends on how much you are lifting, with the most being 130 pounds if you choose to have 90 pounds at the bottom and 220 at the top. Then there is an eccentric mode, which does work as the name suggests. So you can have the lowering portion of the movement be heavier than the upward or concentric movement. An example being lifting 20 pounds, and then as soon as you start to lower that weight down, it quickly increases to 30 pounds. And this too has a wide range in which it can be adjusted, again, depending on how much weight you are lifting. And finally, you have the constant mode, which adjusts the weight dynamically based on the speed in which you are lifting. So you can move the slider from slow to fast, and then the weight will be constantly adjusted to keep you moving at that speed. So if you move more quickly, it'll be heavier, and if you move more slowly, it'll go lighter. And this mode can be useful in certain applications, but is generally used mostly for rehabilitation exercises. Now, additionally, you also have two spotter modes to make things a bit safer. With the first one that Speediance calls Notch 1, you can set the spotter to unload the weight slightly to help you finish a lift if you are moving too slowly. And with Notch 2, the spotter will unload all of the weight if you pause for too long at the top or bottom of a lift. Moving on to classes, each class lets you see exactly what you'll be doing and how long it'll likely take. Now, it's important to note here that the classes are not coached. They are written workouts that you can follow along to movement by movement, but there is no actual coach giving cues or providing any sort of motivation. So if that's the experience that you are looking for in a class, just know that that is not what you're going to find here, which for many people, including me, is just fine. But I think it's important to know. And for the most part, the classes are pretty well designed. And the programs, which I know aren't on the Gym Pal yet, but on the Gym Monster, there's a lot of programs ranging from 2 to 5 weeks. And overall, those seem to be pretty solid. Each workout also has a bit of a warm-up to follow along to, which is also appreciated. And when you finish a set, the weight will unload automatically, and the rest time will be displayed on your phone, which you can extend if you would like, though there's no real need to, as the next set won't begin until you are ready and you turn the weight on via the controller ring. You can also create your own custom workouts here, choosing all the movements you would like, the reps, sets, rest, and everything. And you can even have this AI editor help you do all of this by selecting how long and how hard you want the workout to be, as well as how you'd like the movements prioritized. And it works pretty well, though it could use a little work, especially in terms of creating supersets, but it's certainly usable as it is. Now, when it comes to accessories, the Speediance Gym Pal currently comes with two options. The first of which comes with handles, the Bluetooth ring, an adjustable barbell, and a flat bench. The more expensive option replaces that flat bench with an adjustable bench and adds an additional tricep rope and ankle straps. So first off, the handles here do feel a bit cheap, made entirely from plastic. They are very light and they don't have that great a grip to them. The barbell I do like for the most part. It's got some pretty decent knurling that feels good to use, and the attachment point of the bar can be adjusted via this slider in these holes, so you can move it as needed to help ensure that the cables aren't in the way of your hand placement. The only problem that I have with the barbell here is that there's not really a safety gap between your feet or the machine, so if you accidentally let that bar slip with heavy weight, that could potentially be a bad day for your toes or possibly the machine as well. Now, I haven't been able to see the exact flat bench that comes with the Speediance Gym Pal, but I do have the incline bench here, and the bench goes over the Speediance and keeps it pressed down with this shorter center leg. And when flat, I think the bench is pretty solid and stable, but it can also be adjusted anywhere from 20 to 90 degrees. But with that incline, it does feel a bit flimsy. Now, I weigh about 200 pounds, and I just don't feel super safe when using that incline with heavier loading. And because of the way the Gym Pal is set up, you can't really use your own bench press either because it needs to have that middle post to keep the weight pressing down. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. The tricep rope and ankle straps are both in line with what I would expect, so nothing really much to say about them. I do like having them as they provide a lot of additional exercise variations. So overall, I am impressed with the Speediance Gym Pal. Just given how small and portable it is, it really does provide quite a lot, especially for its price. A price which also doesn't, as of right now, include a monthly subscription, though that may change in the future for people who buy it later on. But if you don't need that heavier loading and you don't care for coach classes and you just would like to have a very space efficient and effective strength machine for home use, the Speediance Gym Pal is a great option. This is Colin Jenkins with Connect the Watts. As always, appreciate you being here, and I'll see you next time.